If you are playing Black Myth Wukong and you are in chapter 2, then enemies in this chapter are very difficult to kill and extremely annoying, right? Which means you would have to level up your stats and get enough sparks to unlock abilities in order to match up this level of difficulties with the enemies in this chapter, right? Now what you need to do is to make sure you just get to this particular location where you can mine these enough will to get enough sparks to unlock your abilities, right? So this is the best location to mine will in chapter 2 for Black Myth Wukong, right? Now the first thing you need to do is to, guys, just do exactly as I do, as enemies here are very difficult and very annoying. So do exactly as I do. I'm not going to forward the video, I'll just let the video follow as it is. So just do exactly as I do and you get enough will. This is the place to mine will, right? You get enough will in order to get enough sparks to unlock your abilities. So what you need to do is, first of all, get to this particular location known as the rock rest flat, right? You need to get to the rock rest flat, and if you can't get to this location, I've made a very special video on how to get to rock rest flat. I'll put the link in the description box below. Just check it out and follow exactly as I did. It's going to get you to rock rest flat. But if you're already here, then do exactly as I do, as you will get enough will in order to play this location. So currently I have about my level is at 36. We will do this about 2, 3, 4 times, and you can see I'll just level up to 37, right? So the first thing you need to do is to get to this location, right? Now once you get to this location, you rest. As I said, I've made a very special video on how to get to this location if you can't find it. Now once you get to this location and you rest up, you just have to follow this path down here, and the first enemy can be found here. And just make sure you start hitting him before he even gets up, and then that is your first enemy gone, and he gets about 140 will, right? When you are done, the second enemy is this porcupine here. You just immobilize the porcupine and then you beat him up. They can be very difficult to kill, so be very careful and use every manner of ways you can use to beat these guys, right? They're very powerful. So you beat these guys up. As I said, enemies can be very difficult, especially when you haven't leveled up. Just beat these enemies up, and then after you beat them, you beat the second porcupine. You look up straight here like this. There's another porcupine there, right? So you beat this porcupine too. Use every manner of means you can use to beat them. If it is immobilized, you use it. And then once you beat the second porcupine, just look to your right like this and follow this path up here. Now as you move forward, there's another enemy, rock enemy in the ground here. You start hitting him up before he springs back up, right? And then after you beat him, you get about 141 will, right? You move forward, and there's a third enemy also down there waiting for you to get it before he springs up. So you start beating him before he even gets up, and then you beat him. Then you have a fourth porcupine here. You mobilize him and then you beat him up. As I said, use every manner of means you can use to beat these enemies. And you have a will of 343. That is so nice. After, just move up here and jump up here. And this wouldn't add enough will, but let's just add it to it, right? So you hold whatever you have in whichever stance that you have, load about 2 or 3, and then you release it. It kills this guy instantly and gives you a will of 44 with some other resources, right? When you are done, you just descend down, you offer incense, and then you rest. The moment you rest, all the enemies are going to spring back up, okay, to resurrect. And then after we just did this, you see that our will has been increased all the way. At first it was in the middle, right? Now we start all over again, and the first enemy is this stone down here. You start beating him up before he gets up. If you defeat him, you wait for the porcupine to turn, and then you immobilize him right there, and then you beat the porcupine also. After that, you use whichever means that you can use to beat them. They can be difficult to kill, so especially in this level where you are now trying to level up, right? So use whichever means you can use to beat these enemies. Alright, so after you beat them, after you beat the second porcupine, now we see we have additional sparks here, right? You look up here and then you go to the third porcupine up here. You use whichever means you can use to beat him up. Now, as I said, they can be extremely difficult, so take your time and use whichever means you can use to beat these guys up, right? After you beat the second porcupine, you just look down here. There's a straight path up here. You take it up, and then there's an enemy hiding down here. You start hitting him up before he gets up, and by the time he gets up, you'd have already killed him, right? Giving you a will of 142, something like that. Plus you get a yogai core and a stone spirit, right? Now you come down here and there's another enemy, stone enemy in the ground. You start hitting him up before he gets up, and then there's a last porcupine there, right? Use whichever means you can use to get him, and then you hit him up, probably immobilize him again, and then you are done hitting him up, right? Once you are done, you get a will of 343. Now this guy is the greatest of them here. He's the most powerful porcupine here. So once you take him out, you get a willpower of 343. That is crazy. After that, you just come down here. I told you this guy wouldn't give you enough will, but it's a very good addition. You just add him to it. He gives you just 45 will, but you add him up and then you see that your stats just goes increasing like that, right? So you do this once again. You come to the shrine and then you rest up and then you start all over again, right? By the time you rest up, the enemies have already respawned, and then you start the process again and again and again. First start beating this first stone guy, and then he's out, right? Once he's out, you go to the porcupine, you immobilize him, and then you start beating him up. Once he's down, you hurry up. These guys can be difficult to kill, so as I keep on saying, he's the one with the shield, and the shield is almost out. Yeah. So once you take him out, you look up here. There's another porcupine there. This one even gives you 346 will. That is crazy. And then you beat this particular porcupine also. They can be difficult, so use every manner of means you can use to beat these guys, as they can be extremely difficult. So just be careful. And then after you beat him, you look to your right and there is a narrow path here, as we've done before. And once again, you beat up this stone guy in the ground. By the time he gets up, he's already dead, right? You move to the next stone guy, already down here somewhere. You start beating him up. By the time he gets up, you've already beaten him up. And then you move on to the last porcupine here. You use all manner of ways you can use to beat this guy. You can immobilize him, and then you beat him up. After you are done, you get a willpower of 339 with some other resources that you may need, right? Once you are done, once again, you come up here and then you load up. Then you kill this particular guy here, which isn't enough will, but it's okay. It's a very good addition. Once you do that, you come back all the way down here and then you start the entire process again and again and again. By the time you realize you have already increased your will and your sparks, increasing your entire stats in the first place. Now we were at 36, now we are at 37, almost getting to 38, right? That is nice. But guys, I wouldn't recommend these things because that you wouldn't feel the game as it is meant to be played. But if you are having difficulties trying to beat the enemies, then this is the best place to mine well in chapter 2, right? Now, with that being said, I'll end the video here and give you more hints like this in the game. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now. My name is wasticSON.